So here is going to be an example of the review activity for the end of New Perspectives Excel Chapter 4. This is what it's going to look like, or the main page is going to look like when we're finished. So you can see that we're creating lots of charts and graphs using Excel. This is a chapter that sadly the online version is pitiful. They do not have hardly any of these tools. We completely don't have any of these tools at all, like at all, in the online version. We don't have any of the styles in the online version. We can't access this button. We can't move the chart. It's just a hot mess. So you'll definitely have to use the full version on desktop computers to do the activities in Excel 4. So let's hop to it. First, let me download the file here from the files so that I can begin, and then we will get started. So these are the ones where the instructions are on the blue pages. Mine's timed out. The instructions are at the blue pages at the end of the chapter. So that's what we're looking at, that blue page that would be at the finish of it. And, oh, I'm getting beeped at, so that's fun. All right, here we go. So Philbin Financial Group is the file that we're using here. Okay, so for starters, as always, enable editing. You'll always type in your name as the author, and then you'll do the date here in B4. And again, they like for us to use a function, so I'm going to use a today function to pop in the date here for this one. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a pie chart. So I'm going to go to the allocation worksheet, and it says I'm going to create a pie chart from the data in the range A4 to B8. So I'm going to select that range. Not this one, because pie charts are to show parts of a whole, so we're taking all of these and showing them in their own individual pie pieces. I'm just going to go up to the Insert menu, which is where all the charts are at, and then we'll go to the one that looks like a pie and choose your standard 2D pie chart. Another fun fact, the online version does not have any 3D charts at all, so. Okay, now it says move the pie chart to a different worksheet. So we're going to move it to the prospectus worksheet. There's a move button up here. When you're clicked on chart, the chart tools appear. I'm going to choose the design one and move chart, and I'm going to move it to the prospectus worksheet. So that scoots it here. So you don't have to copy and paste, just use the move button to get it over there. And it's going to be in D7 to E14. So you're going to resize it to make it fit into that little tiny area like so. All right, next instruction tells us to change the position of the legend. The legend is what tells you what each piece of the pie is. The legend right now is on the bottom. It says to change the position to the right. We can do that in a couple of different places. Over here on Add Chart Element, you can see these buttons here. But you can also access those buttons right from the chart. Although every now and then, for some reason, this little plus sign disappears. So you can get to the plus sign here as well. So where it says legend, I'm going to tell it I need it to be on the right-hand side of the chart as such. And then it tells us to change the color scheme of the chart. So I'm going to choose change color. It says to use monochromatic palette 5, which is the bluish one. All right, so we're good to go there. That one looks like it's supposed to look. The last thing they have is for us to add little percentage markers around the outside of the pie. So if we click on here, we can then go back to this little guy here. Those are called data labels. You can see here if I hover over, you can see there's numbers. So those are putting the actual number values. And you can put them a data call out, which puts the words and the percent. Like if you wanted to hide the legend, you could use that one. So none of these are showing the one we need, which is actually percentages on the outside of the pie piece. So it needs to be like that, but it needs to be percentages. So I'm going to choose outside end, but then I'm going to go to more options. That's going to open this little guy up over here on the side, the format data labels. And then I'm just going to check mark percentage and uncheck value. There we go. And that's what we need there. Okay, all good there. If you click off of that, then this will kind of go kind of plain over here until we click on a chart again. So that's the first one. Number 4 in the instruction says that Hideki, whoever that is, wants the report to display a column chart. So we're going to do a column chart based on the returns worksheet. So I'm going to go to the returns worksheet, select the data, for all of the stuff there. And this time it wants us to create a clustered column chart. So again, insert, I'm going to go find column charts. That's the ones that look like towers. And we want a clustered one. So we're in the 2D clustered column. That's your first basic column chart. So I'm going to click on that. Once again, it asks us to move the chart. So I'm just going to go right to that Move Chart button. We're going to move it to that prospectus. They're having us put all of them in that one. Hit OK. And then we are going to make some changes here. We're going to change the chart title. So I'm going to just double click in the chart title and then change the word month end returns. Okay, good. And then we are going to place the legend on the right hand side. So once again, find the legend, switch it to the right. So it should look like that. Okay. Also, they wanted us to put it over in F7, so we're going to put it here. It's going to kind of be right next to this other guy. F7 to H14. So row 14, just like the other one. Just kind of match it up in H. There we go. All right, excellent. So that's all of number 4. All right. Oh, Hideki wants a line chart now. So we're going to go to the growth worksheet. In the growth worksheet, we're going to create a line chart of the data, starting in A4, going all the way to 25. This one is going to be a line chart showing growth, basically. So I'm going to just go straight to Insert, find my charts, find the one with the line. Initially, it just says plain old line chart, so I'm just going to choose the plain old line chart on here. And then it says we want to show the year on the axis down at the bottom. So notice what it's doing right now is it's just showing numbers down here, and it's basically charting all of these, and they don't change by very much, so they all look like a straight line. So here's what we're going to do about that. So what you're going to do is you're going to go up to this Select Data. So you're going to be clicked on your chart, go to Select Data. Oh, I've like scooted my thing down. Let's scoot it back up. Select Data. And so what you can see is it's taken and it thinks that we want to chart the date, that we want to put it as a line. Well, we don't. So I'm going to uncheck that date there. And then over here, instead of 1, 2, 3, well, we want that to be those years, right? So I'm going to click on this Edit button, and then we're going to choose those years as the legend, if you will. Or as the axis, I guess is what we call it here. Okay, so now we have all of the years down here at the bottom, and we got rid of that line on that other part. So I'm going to hit OK, and now we've got the right labels here. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. Again, remember that's the Select Data button. That's kind of in a weird spot there. Okay, so we've got that. We got the year value on the horizontal axis, and we're going to move the chart once again to the prospectus sheet. Once we do that, it's going to take us over there, and we're going to set it up in D15. Now be careful when you pick up your chart to pick it up from like in the corners, because if you pick it up in here, you might accidentally move things around. So be careful about that. Okay, D15 to E24, so there's E, and then 24 is going to make this shorter, so we'll get up there. All right, that looks good. All right, change the chart title. So again, just double click up in that chart title. Again, you don't want to move that chart title box, so be real careful about where you click there. Growth of 10K investment. Okay, now it says for us to add major vertical grid lines. So we're going to hit the plus sign here, and you're going to see grid lines. We're going to come out, and we want major vertical. So primary, major, vertical. We're going to check mark that. Okay, so that's on there. And then it says place the legend to the right side. So legend, going to go to the right. Okay, so that changes a little bit too. Then it says we're going to change the intervals. So it doesn't like having all these years down here. So it's already kind of had to skip 2002. It has a line, but it kind of skipped it because we didn't need to have, you know, all of those in there, but now they're turned sideways and it looks funny. So they're going to have us to set that up so it looks a little differently. When you're clicked here, remember this chart area thing pops up. Now, if you closed this out, you can get that back. If you hit this little button here, that's chart styles. That's not it. But that brings you to the styles, and here's the filter button, and here's this. But all you have to do here is basically double click it. See that? And then it pops back up. So you just double click in the white space. All right, so it's going to have us change the intervals. Well, the intervals are for this thing. So I'm going to click down here on this part, and it says axis options, right? And then you've got all these different buttons here. So this one here has to do with the numbers and stuff. Axis options, tick marks, labels, numbers. So we can open up these and kind of see what we're looking for. You can see here, tick marks, major, labels, major. So we've got some different things here. The one that it tells us is that we want to change the interval between major tick marks and between labels on the category axis to 5. So I'm going to do 5 here and then here as well. So we're doing 5 on both. So now look what we've got. We got 2001 and it skips 5 years, 2006. And now our major lines, you know, we don't have so many lines crammed in there because we changed the distance between all of those. Okay, looks good. So that's basically that. Now it says Hideki number 6 wants the report to show the recent selling price of shares. So we're going to be using what's called a combination chart. And these get to be a little bit more confusing. I'm going to go to the recent history one. That's what we're going to use. Lots of data in this one, A4 to C58, so we have to scroll down a bit. And we're going to create a combination chart. When you go in here, sometimes I'll go in through the recommended ones to find these combo charts because it seems like you can find them in here a little bit better. When you go to all, then combo's at the very bottom. Okay, you can also get there by clicking this little button here, see all charts, and then go to all charts, and then combo. So here's your combination chart. So what you do with a combination chart is like you might have a line that does something, and then you have a bar that does something. Like you can have multiple things happening here. Okay, now we've got a lot of editing to do to this one. It says display the price data as a line chart. Okay, so and it wants it on the primary axis. So I'm going to choose a line chart and not the secondary axis, the primary axis. So right now this is on the primary axis. Okay. Then it says shares traded data as a clustered column. So I'm going to choose a clustered column and it says that's going to be the secondary. So I'm going to click secondary. Now so what that did, and when this was primary, notice that our price is such a low number that it's like flat way down here at the bottom. So what it's going to do is add a second axis on the other side. See that? So now the price is the blue line. So the price has its own axis of numbers. And then the shares traded, because they're such bigger numbers, they have their own axis on the other side. So it's the secondary axis because it's the one on the not normal side. Okay, so that's what it has us to do first. Then we're going to hit OK, and then we're going to move it. So once again to the prospectus, and then we'll get it into its position, A26. Know where that went there for a second. A26, this is below our data. A26 to D38. It's kind of going next to this chart that they already have in here for us. Okay, and then we're going to change the title of the chart. I'm just triple clicking in the box to recent history. And then it says we're going to display the axis titles on the chart. So I'm going to click here, axis titles. So just hit a check mark there, and now we can see the axis titles. And that's kind of important because you need to tell them that this one's the price and that the other one is shares. So I'm just going to double click over here on this one, triple click so I can get all of it, price. And then we'll triple click over here until we get it all. And this one is shares traded so that we have those labeled. And the category axis down here is going to be the date. If I can ever type it in there. And then they say, hey, wait, change this because this looks goofy because it's pointed that way. Flip it around the other way. So whatever you do, don't just pick it up and do that, okay? We've got buttons over here that we can use to do these. You got to just figure out where it's at, and I never do remember here, but here we go. So under title options, because I'm clicked on the title, and if you're clicked on something else, it's not going to show up. You got to be clicked on the right thing. So I'm on this. It says title options, where it says alignment, vertical alignment, text direction, and here we go. We want to rotate it this way. Rotate text down. Okay, so now it's rotated down. Then they say we're going to place a legend. I bet you can guess where, because they seem to like that right side, don't they? Legend to the right, and then change the scale of the secondary axis. So remember, the secondary axis is the one on this side. The scale of the secondary axis to go from 0 to 1.6E08. That's one of those funny things you get on your calculator, isn't it? So I'm on the secondary axis, and we're going to go over here to our axis options and come click on here. We got to figure out where to go, and again, it's kind of hard to know. You just kind of have to click around. Oh, looks good. Yeah, see, we've got some weird numbers in here. So it says to secondary to go from 0 to 1.6. So it's the scale. And display the scale in units of 1 million. So the units down here are going to be millions. Actually, it said 1 million, so I guess I should click the 1 million one. Is that 1 million? 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. I don't know if that's 1 million or 2. I don't know. I'm going to click on this one. All right, so it says millions, right? That's what it wanted us to do. And then we're going to give it the top and the bottom. So we don't want the maximum to be what it currently is. Let's see. We want our 0. Oh, 0. Nope, not 0, because it won't let me. Okay, horizontal axis crosses. Let's see. Display the scale in units of 1 million with the units label displayed on the chart. Well, we have the units label displayed because I have that. That's the thing that says the word millions. We got that. I'm not sure why it's not letting me change. Maybe we'll use bounds. 0 to, this isn't going to make sense because that's got 70 million there. 1.6 E08. Let's see what this does. Okay, there we go. See if that, whoops. We'll see if that looks about right. I guess that is right. That's what they want. Okay, well, this is 1.6. Oh, okay, this is 160 million. That's why that's up there. Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I just confused everybody, including myself. So anyway, this is what this should look like. 160 million is the tip top of that. So that's what they wanted us to do. Let me go back here so you can see. So bottom is 0, and the maximum is 160 million. I wish they would have put 160 million. That would have made more sense. Okay. So this is what this should look like on this particular chart. We're ready for number 7. Let's move on. Number 7, we're going to compare return rate and volatility. We're going to the performance worksheet. So let's come over here. In this case, we are going to create what's called a scatter chart. So we're going to highlight our range, B5 to C7. Not very much stuff this time. And they're going to have us to insert a recommended chart. And the chart they're going to have us to choose is called a scatter chart. I don't like this because you can't really tell what's what on here, but the scatter chart is the one that has these dots. If I click on it, it says the word scatter here. Now, I'll caution you because I did this twice. The first time, I couldn't figure out which one it was, so I went in here to get to the scatter chart, which I found, but if you click on the wrong one, you end up with the wrong kind of chart. So we want the scatter chart here. Notice that we can see we have 2 blue dots on here. So we're going to hit OK. That specific scatter chart has some things that are already set up right, and then we're going to be changing other things. Okay, so at this point, we are going to move this scatter chart to F15 to H24 of our prospectus. It's going to go kind of in this spot over here, F15 H24. We're filling it into the spot here where these other ones are at. Okay, now we've got some changes to make to this one. We are going to remove the chart title and the grid lines. So no chart title, no grid lines, just 2 blue dots hanging out. Okay, then we're going to rescale the axis. So we have 2 axes. We have this one. This is the vertical one. Put your mouse at it, it'll tell you that. It's the tall one, vertical. And this one is your horizontal, which goes along the horizon. It's flat. Okay. So we have two different changes to make. I'm going to click on the horizontal or the vertical one first, and we go to Axis Options. Make sure you're on vertical, and you'll want to click on this little button here, Axis Options. Okay, so we're going there, and we want to change the numbers. So we want it to go from 0, which it is, to 0.06. I'll press Tab so you can see it change. That scoots down. And then horizontal axis crossing. So here, horizontal axis crosses, and we tell it where, and it says 0.031, and press Tab. All right, so that scoots this down, so now these are in the middle, okay? Now we're rescaling the horizontal axis. So we're going to click on that bottom axis, make sure it's horizontal one. Okay, I'm on the right one. This one is set for 0 to 20 now, but we're going to set it to be 4 to 24. So 4 to 24, and press Tab. Your blue dots should be moving around, so watch them. And then axis value, this crossing on the vertical is going to cross at 1471, 14.71, which kind of makes it cross in the middle. Press Tab. So see, it's kind of right there in the middle. This looks really weird, but this is what they're going after here. Okay, so we've got, oh, I don't have my minimum at 4. It should be 4, I think. Yeah, 4 to 20. There we go. It should be right about the middle. So 4, 24, and 14.71. This is 7D. All right, now we have E. Set the label position to none for both the horizontal and vertical axis labels. So we don't want to see these labels. These are the labels. Okay, so go in here, labels, and we want no labels here. And go to this one, labels, no. So now we have basically a crossbar and a couple of dots. So exciting stuff here. Okay, then it says add data callouts to the data markers. Okay, so these are your data markers, these guys. Okay, and we have different options here. Here's your markers. Again, you have to kind of pop through all these. It's kind of hard to find them. I just kind of poke around until I see it, and then I kind of know what I'm looking for. Marker options. Here's how you could change your markers. Like these are blue circles, and this is how big they are. So you've got all of that different stuff in there. But they're not actually having us change that. They're having us add data callouts to the markers. There is a button for that. Let's see if we can choose the button here. So data labels, data callout. There we go. So we've got the data callout there. Let's see if I can click on the callout. There we go. And this tells you, of course, what all is going to go into that. It says showing only the text from the range A6 to A7. So that's all it wants us to show on this one. Value from cells A6 to A7. A6 colon A7. Hit OK. Oh, it's not liking it. Let me uncheck these guys. Maybe they want me to go click on it, which I would have to go back over to the other one to do, but let's do that. Okay, what was this one in? The performance worksheet. These two. Oh, that's probably why, because it needs it to say performance in there. Okay, hit the button here and hit OK. And there we go. All right, so now we have S&P 500 and the ORTFD. And again, I clicked on those boxes after we added the data labels, said value from cells, select range, and then we had to go back to that performance worksheet to grab those two boxes. So next up, we're going to be adding the rest of the scatter dots. There's going to be little orange dots in here. So that's like a second legend entry. So we're going to go up here while we're clicked on the chart to select data, and we're going to add another set of legend entries. So I'm going to click add, and then it says series name. And the book tells us that we're going to, so you'll click this little button. We're going to go back over to the performance one, and we're going to use this as the name. It's G5, other investment fund returns, and hit this. And then for the X values, it's going to be these over here. So I'm going to click select range, pick those. It's the F column. And by the way, some of these things don't show up in here, but it doesn't mean they're not working. So like they're all disappeared, but I promise they're actually in there. Okay, and then this one is going to be these. Okay, and then hit this. And I know you can't see anything, but it does say it. Other investments, you'll see these numbers. That's the 1829 and the 4.35. So they're in there. You just can't see any words. Hit OK. And there we go. Now we have this one, which is our first boxes, those are blue ones. And then this one, which is all those other orange dots. And this says the data range is too complex to be displayed. So that's why you don't see anything up here. So let's hit OK. And now we actually do have our little orange dots in there for our scatter chart, like they wanted us to have. Okay, next we're going to add 4 text boxes to the scatter chart, basically to make the corners have words high return, low. It's kind of like a T-chart, you know, high return, low volatility, low return, low volatility, high return, high volatility. So it's, anyway, we have to add text boxes to do that. So you're going to go to Insert, and we want to insert a text box. And when you go to Shapes, the text box is the first box. This one has an A in it. And then you click and drag, and you just draw your little box. In this case, it's going to say high return, and then enter low volatility, and then make sure it fits. And we're not changing the sizes of the words at all here. So, okay, there we go. And then I would do the old copy and paste. Control C, Control V. And then put this one down here. This one's going to be low return, low volatility. It's not the easiest thing to spell, is it? Again, to copy these, you have to click on the border. Don't be in here with the blinker. You can't have the cursor blinking. You have to be on the box. Control C and then Control V. Okay? And you only have to hit Control C, Control V once, and then you can fix it. This one's high return, high volatility. And then I'm going to click off of it and paste one more time. And this one is low return, high volatility. There we go. Okay. Good stuff. Okay. And it says resize them so that they align with the chart corners. I think that looks pretty good. There shouldn't be, like in the example, it does not show a line around those, but it almost looks like there is a line around those. So I'm going to say let's go ahead and set these to no line since it doesn't tell us to put a line. Probably should have done that to begin with. But there probably shouldn't be a line on your boxes. Again, this is under the line option. Okay. All right, good. That looks good. All right, we are number 8. Oh, no, we just did number 8. Number 9, on the prospectus worksheet, which is the one that we're already on, replace the text in cell B9. So we're going to go to B9, where it says 3 stars. And we're going to actually use 3-star icons. This is actually something that was new. I'm going to hit delete here. That was new in this new version of Microsoft Office. We have Office 2019, and icons is new. So we go in here, and we now actually have tons of icons, which is really kind of cool because you don't have to go out and Google and try to find icons. The one that we want is from the Celebration group. So we'll go to Celebration. We got icons in here. And then we want the star. So I'm going to insert it. And then we have to scale it down. And it tells us exactly what size it wants us to be, 0.2. So height and width, 0.2. There we go. So that looks like it's good. And then we need to have 3 of those total. So I'm going to Control C, Control V. Oops, it doesn't want me to Control C. Let's try again. There we go. Control C, Control V. Oh, and they're wanting to line up the other direction. Okay. There we go. And they are going to have us to align those to make sure that they are distributed evenly in that cell B9. And so to properly do that, we're going to need to use, and let's see if I can find it. Let me click back on my star. We need the selection pane. Here it is, under Graphics Tools, Format Selection Pane. And so if you hit the eyeballs on and off, you can see. So these stars are Graphic 14, 13, and Graphic 12. So we're going to hold down Control, click, click, click. Oops, I'm holding Shift. Click, click, click. So that all 3 of them are selected. They'll be in green. And then up here under the Format tab, we're going to align these guys. So basically, we want to align them in their middles, so they're all lined up exactly. And then we want to distribute them horizontally so that they're equal distance apart from each other. There we go. And they overlap them if they need be to make them all fit in there properly. Okay, so that's that one. So again, that's new. Number 10 says add solid blue data bars to the values in G28. Let's go find out where that is. G28, that's this here that they already have entered for us. So we've got this here. It says add solid blue data bars to the values in the range G28 to G38. So we're going to select these here. And we are going to use conditional formatting here to add these data bars. So when you go here under conditional formatting on the home tab, it's data bars. And it says solid blue. So in the solid section, we want blue. And there it is. And then we want to modify the conditional formatting because what it's doing is it's using the biggest percent as the 100 as the all the way across. So I'm going to go to conditional formatting and manage rules. And you can see here, here's the data bar. We're going to edit the rule. And the instructions tell us so that the maximum length of the data bar is 0.3. So for the data bar, type maximum. We're going to say maximum is going to be 0.3. 0.3. And we hit OK. And we hit OK. And there we go. And then that fixes it so that, this is halfway to 30 instead. Okay, lastly here, we're almost to the end of it. This is a long exercise. It says add line spark lines to the range H28 to H38 using the data values from the range B5 to L44. So we're going to be using information from somewhere else, and we're going to put in these little spark lines, is what they're called, in this little box right here. So simply highlight your box. And then we're going to go to the Insert tab. And we are looking for the spark lines group. And we're going to go to Line. Now, if you're not full screen, you may not see all of that. So just so you know, spark lines is the group. You may need to go full screen to see it. Line. And then it says, choose the data that you want. So where is the data? And it says that our data is in the Sectors worksheet. So we have to actually click this button and go somewhere else. So Sectors, I'm going to guess it's over here somewhere. Sectors. Yeah, way over here, Sectors. And we are going to be utilizing the values from B5 to L44. So, going way over here. B5 to L44. All right, and then hit your little button to go back. And then the spark lines, we want them to be placed right there. Just hit the button because it's already selected. And then again, it disappeared, but don't freak out if it gets just a bug and hit OK. And there we go. We have that. Finally, they're going to have us to add data markers so that there's like little red dots at various points in here. So while these are still selected, there's Sparkline tools up here at the very top. We're going to check mark the button for high point, and we're going to check mark the low point. It says add data markers for the high and the low points. So it's going to put a red dot at the highest point and a red dot with the lowest point, and it automatically should be red, so I don't think that you'll have to change those. But if you did, you could set your marker color here and set that color. But it's already red, I believe. Oh, oops, not that one. Just the high point, low point one. Oh, okay, not good. Anyways, okay, but it's right. It's automatically going to be red. Okay, that's essentially it, folks. I know that was a really, really long exercise. Let's take a look at them and close all these panes out so you can kind of look and see if you got it all. This is a tough one to fix things on if you mess them up. Well, not too bad, really, because each chart is individual. You can always delete a chart and then work on it again. But there you go. And again, really, most of this cannot be done in the online version. You can't create a combination chart. You can't do spark lines or trend lines or add high and low points. I don't think scatter chart is even a thing on the other one. You can't control the lines and the scale and everything quite as easily. You don't have icons. So the online version is very lacking when it comes to this chart chapter. So do be sure that you use the full version of Microsoft Office in completing the activities for Excel 4.